Oh boy, some people are not going to be happy to see this deck list. So as I'm sure you guys are all aware by now, Konami recently dropped a ban list in which they hit a bunch of decks in the game, including the current best deck in the game, Mekk-Knight. And when I say hit, I mean, have you guys ever sort of seen one of those inflatable hammers? Yeah, it's one of those kinds of hits. So not only is the archetype very much alive and well, it may have actually just gotten stronger, as along with the ban list, we also got ourselves a brand new box, which dropped a pretty nice archetype that is very, very strong when paired with it. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get to the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, as apparently about 50% of the people watching this are even subscribed to the channel, then nearly all of you are returning viewers who have seen my content before. So if you find yourself keep coming back to the channel and want to see more content just like this in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Also don't forget, I have a dual avatar video planned for tomorrow, so if you want to see that, remember to subscribe so you don't miss out. Alright, let's get into the deck list. So today's deck list is obviously going to be Mekk-Knight Crusadia. Now this pairing came together for one reason and one reason only, and that is Mekk-Knights seem to really like Link 1s, as soon as you can get a Link 1 on the field, if you have a skill like Middleaged Mechs to put a spell card below that Link 1, all of a sudden you can just special summon out your entire hand, and thankfully for your Crusadias, there are now like 7 in your deck list, all of which they'll just turn straight into a Link 1, no matter which one you open, therefore allowing you to basically special summon out your entire hand if you open a single Crusadia. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about the actual Mekk-Knight side of things in this deck list, as, let's be honest, you guys all know what those cards do by now, but I do want to cover all the Crusadia stuff, as you guys may not have seen these cards before. So the actual Crusadia monsters, their card effects don't really matter as much as just having different names in the deck list. And what I mean by that is, you'll see I'm running a lot of 2-ofs rather than playing 3-ofs. That's because if you happen to open 2 different Crusadia names, you're going to be much better off than if you opened 2 of the same Crusadia. This is because all your Crusadias come with a nice once per turn effect that allows them to special summon themselves to a Link arrow of a Link monster. Therefore, the more Crusadias you have in your hand with different names, the better off you're going to be at just trying to special summon out your entire hand. Then they all have their own unique effect. First we have Draco. Draco when summoned can add back any Crusadia from your graveyard back to your hand, which is pretty important because generally you're going to be summoning out something like Maximus, linking it off into a Link 1, then special summoning out your Draco from hand, therefore adding back the Maximus, which because you haven't special summoned yet, you only normal summoned it, you can then special summon it to the field and go into various different Link monsters. Speaking of Maximus, this card basically has an effect where it can target a Crusadia monster you control, and any battle damage it does to a monster during this turn will be doubled, so this leads to some very nasty OTKs when we talk about the Link monster. But strangely enough, I actually haven't gotten to use this card's effect all that much, mostly because your Link monster generally has something like 7 to 8,000 attack a lot of jewels anyway, so there's just no real point in doubling battle damage when you already have lethal, but we'll talk about that in a second. Then we have your Reclusia. This card on summon can target a Crusadia card you control, destroy it to destroy one card your opponent controls, which is pretty brilliant when paired with Arboria, which is a card which, when in the graveyard, can be banished to then protect one of your cards from destruction. So essentially it protects it from your opponent's cards, or you can protect your own card from your Reclusia and still destroy one of your opponent's cards. Then we have your Link monsters, with the most important one being your Crusadia Equimax. This card has 2 effects. The first effect is a gained attack equal to the combined original attack of all monsters this card points to. Monsters this card points to cannot attack. Once per turn, quick effect to contribute 1 Crusadia or a legacy monster this card points to, then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. So there's 2 very important things to note with this card. First of all, it has a forward-facing arrow. That means if your opponent ever has a monster directly in front of this card, it will gain attack equal to that monster's attack as well. So this card not only will gain like 2500 attack by having it point to a Mekk-Knight monster, it also gains like 1 billion attack from whatever your opponent has, making this card a very powerful OTK tool, especially if your opponent has 1 big monster on their field and 1 small monster. They're probably just going to die. Then it has its second effect. Now, the negate effect of this card is something a lot of people don't really pay attention to a lot of the time, because they don't realize it can negate anything. That includes spell and trap cards. So your opponent activates something like MST, you can just activate this card in response, tributing off a Crusadia it points to, negating that effect, which also means a deck list that relies so heavily on one-of trap card is now protected from MST if you can get this card out. So this deck list may have just gotten a bit stronger just off that fact alone. Then we have your Crusadia Spatha. Now Spatha is a card it's technically cuttable, as a lot of your Crusadia cards don't actually require an actual Crusadia monster to link summon them. This card literally just needs effect monsters, including a link monster. So you don't technically need to run Spatha, but Spatha does help quite a bit at just moving cards around to different zones, especially when you're playing Mekk-Knights, and it's also good at trying to get something directly in front of this card to make this thing gain a billion attack. Because this card, essentially, basically, it just moves monsters on the field. Once per turn, if an effect monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, you can target one monster in either player's main monster zone and just move it to another zone. So it's very good just moving cards around to make this card essentially much bigger, but you don't technically need to run it. And finally, we have your Crusadia Magius. Now this card, just like its boss monster and also just like this one, gains attack equal to the original attack of monster this card points to. This monster this card points to cannot attack. If an effect monster is special summoned to the zone this card points to, except during the damage step, you can add one Crusadia monster from your deck to your hand. As for the rest of the deck list, it's also your typical Mekk-Knight stuff you guys have all seen before, so without further ado, let's just jump into some gameplay. Alright, so for those wondering about win rates or just about how well this deck list went for me on the ladder, I had a roughly 70-ish% win rate. I think my match history only has 3 losses in it, and I think it also has a disconnect, so which is a bit unfortunate, but it did have a 70-ish% win rate. I had a bunch more games before this, and I was generally winning every 7 out of 10. That's just how this deck list was going. I had a bunch of rank ups with it, and before anyone says anything about it being platinum, keep in mind, it's literally March 2nd today, and the season reset on March 1st, so literally everybody is in platinum. This deck list will easily be a coggable deck list, and I don't think I even have to really prove that, considering it's basically just Mekk-Knight, but maybe even a slightly better variant, and we already know Mekk-Knight is the best deck in the game, so no matter how I built this deck list, it was probably going to be good to some extent anyway. Alright, let's get to the actual replays. I'm going to start from the top today, and I have a bunch of replays to share with you. Alright, so the reason we're starting from the top is I really wanted to show off this end board, which I didn't really set up all that often, because it's not that easy to set up, but if you can set it up, it is horrendously broken. Alright. So this is the ideal end board, at least for me, when building this deck list. There's also a rank up game. Alright, so Middleaged Mechs, putting it to a zone, stunning my Crusadia, going to Magius, special summon to the zone I think arrow points to search for a card, grabbing Draco, moving this card over so I can summon another Mekk-Knight, or summon another Draco, sorry, adding back the Magius from hand on special summon, then summon off into Morningstar so I discard my card in hand, searching for my World Legacy Secret, I think summoning off into my Equimax, for summoning my Crusadia, and setting my 2 cards. Oh, sorry, activating Memory first to get Nightfall for another search. Keep in mind, by the way, if you do have World Legacy's Memory in hand, or if you do search for this card off of a copy of your, wherever he is, your Link monster, keep in mind, this card can only, this card locks you into only Mekk-Knights after using it, so you won't be able to summon your, you won't be able to special summon your Crusadia cards. So if you're going to use this card, make sure you're using it at the end of your turn, or when you're not going to special summon any more Crusadias. Alright. Which is why, by the way, I'm only running 1 copy of this card and running 2 of the blue Mekk-Knight instead. Special summoning and passing the turn. So the important thing about this build is, it has your standard World Legacy secret setup that your Mekk-Knights normally get, but now we have a copy of a Maximus on the field below a link arrow of Equimax. So if my opponent ever activated something like an MST or something to try to remove the World Legacy secret before making his plays, he literally can't do that, because I'll just negate it by tributing this card. So he's forced to just try to play the game through it. Alright, tries to activate his World Legacy Memory, I'm just going to negate that. And now when he tries to summon out the, well, he tries to activate World Legacy's key, forcing me to summon out my Mekk-Knight monster so it doesn't get negated. Summons a Link Disciple, try to fill up my zones with an Ibly lock, but I'm going to move this card before I can, making sure that his Link monster is completely scuffed if he tries to summon one. Which of course he does, and he can't really do anything. Alright. On to replay number 2. Alright, I guess we can start from the bottom now. Alright. So I think this replay I go for a more standard Mekk-Knight setup, rather than going for the Crusadia stuff. Just showing you this deck list can literally just set up whatever kind of end board you feel like anyway. Alright. So Middleaged Mechs. Gonna summon my dude, link him off, grab my Magius. Once again, link 1 with a Ancient Gear Castle in the field means I can just special summon whatever Mekk-Knights I like. Still getting searches for my Draco, even though I'm only summoning. It can just be anything you summon to its link carry. It doesn't have to be Crusadia cards for its search. Morningstar, discarding a card. Going my World Legacy Secret. Moving this card over and setting this card. So I have my triple set up for my Omni Negates. But I'm pretty sure if I wanted to, I still could have set up my Equimax there if I wanted to. But for this duel, I just set up the standard Mekk-Knight end board. Making sure all 3 loans are completely locked so he can't play the game. Unless he draws MST. Alright, MST is 1 back row, activates Feast, summoning a bunch of dudes to the field. All of which are just completely negated, of course. Banishing, adding Blue Sky. Special summon, getting a search, and now I can link summon off into the brand new card, Crusadia Equimax, who points to a 2600 attack monster and a 2400 attack monster, meaning 7000 attack. And then I proceed to completely miss lethal as I forget this guy's running 5000 life points. Yeah. But my opponent conceded anyway because he's a nice lad. Alright. Next replay. So you can probably tell already just by looking at the couple of replays you've just seen. This deck list it's really strong. You're literally just playing a better version of Mekk-Knight, if not just the same version of Mekk-Knight. It's incredibly strong. Just sort of depends on if you prefer Ibly Lock or not, but I guarantee you'll see some people topping tournaments with a deck list similar to this, as it's just really damn good. Alright. If anything, you can actually just not play the Crusadia stuff and just play this Crusadia and Mekk-Knight if you just want to have the big attack boosting monster, since you can summon this without any Crusadias, so there's a good chance people will just start running this card for the big attack boost anyway. Alright, so this guy's playing Phantom Knight. With the brand new skill, actually. Alright, special summon this dude, special summon another dude, go into his Dark Rebellion. And we all know where this is going if you guys have seen my video earlier this week. If you haven't, you should definitely check it out. Because this deck list is another deck list is actually really damn powerful. Alright. Treasure Phantom, swapping it over for the big dude. Getting his whatever it's called, rank up magic, so we can swap it over for the big boy. Summoning out Dark Requiem, which now has a nice little nice little monster negate that destroys. Alright, special summoning to the zone this points to. He decides to negate this monster, which is completely fine by me. Alright, link summoning off, going to my Magius. Special summoning again, searching for my Draco. Summoning again, going to my copy of Spatha. Special summoning again, getting a search and a special summon. Oh, sorry, not a search. I'm moving the monster over so that I can special summon this card to that link arrow. And now that I know I'm completely safe to summon out my boss monster because he's going to be summoned with a negate next to it, I can now go into my boss monster. So that was a good example of me using Spatha there to sort of set up a good zone. So if my opponent had some annoying trap card here, waiting for me to summon out Equimax, it wouldn't matter now because I have my negate ready in line. Also important to note that I saved my World Legacy's memory because again, can't use it when you've got your after you can't special summon your Crusadias after using it, and also I wanted to make sure that if he had some sort of removal here, I could have set this card here and used it to summon out my Blue Sky, because I actually think I already used a Blue Sky this turn. I did, so I actually didn't really need to do that, but yeah, you get the point. Summon out my Nightfall. Nightfall has a search. Special summoning to the field. He activates his Cosmic Cyclone. We can just negate that though if we wanted to, but we don't really care. Everybody's summoned our stuff to the field anyway, so he's just dead. Alright. On to the next replay against the Dune. Interesting name, this one. Alright. I forgot what this guy was playing. Alright, another rank up match. Yeah, I forgot what this guy was playing. They once again going first. Sunning my dude, going to Magius. We've all seen this before now. Getting us a Surge. Banish, another Surge. Special summon to the field. Adding back to hand. It's generally good to end on this card in Graveyard if you can, just because it has a nice, the battle / destruction protection thing. As you'll see during this duel, I actually remember what this game is now. This is the 6 Samurai game, actually, I'm pretty sure. Reinforcing the army, searching for a warrior. Alright. Gonna summon out his Shien. Alright, ties the binds, goes to battle phase. Before he does, I'm gonna MST this card, knowing he was going to negate, because I'm pretty certain when you play against 6 Samurai, you know what that back row is gonna be. That is 100% a dual wield, and we do not want that going off. So he's gonna try to negate it, I just negate him. Get that dual wield out of here. And Arboria will protect my card from battle or destruction. And from here, yeah, he's looking a bit of a rough shape. Some my Eclipse, some my other dude, and that's just Lethal on field already. It's just not Lethal, I missed Lethal again, I'm pretty sure. Because I forgot this card couldn't attack. Not that it really matters. Yeah, I definitely missed some sort of Lethal there. I could have done some different ordering or special summon a bigger boy or something. Either way, we got him. Yes, do remember that, it's kind of important. The stuff pointing to your Crusadia monsters, they can't attack. Just remember that. Had a couple of mislethals today from that. Absolute puny brain I've got. Alright, so I assume this was a Goki player, I assume. Not sure for certain, but I'm just assuming from the character he was playing Goku. Oh no, this was the, okay, so this was the, this replay is 100% just to show off an interaction. That's the only reason I used it. It's a shit replay, but I wanted to show off an interaction because I don't think I actually saved another one where I did it. So, I just wanted to show off the interaction between Reclusia and Arboria for anyone that hasn't seen it before. So ignore the rest of the replay, it's completely shit. I just wanted to put this dude in the graveyard, summon out whatever, and get this thing on the field. So special summon this thing to the field. On summon, it can target a card Crusadia you control and a card your opponent controls and destroy them. But because we have Arboria in the graveyard, you can banish that instead, therefore protecting your Crusadia and allowing you to still go into your various link plays. And it was actually a drowning Mirror Force, but a good thing we did that. Alright. Just wanted to show off that interaction. Final replay for the video. Which I think was against a lot of back row, if I remember correctly. Some dude playing a buttload of back row, which I thought was a really good replay because it showed off a lot of important things I wanted to sort of mention. Because this deck list actually has some sort of nice counters to popular back row, and I'll show you that right now. Right, so 3 back row. So Middleaged Mechs, some my purple Nightfall, getting a search for Blue Sky. Summon to the field, getting another search, grabbing a yellow star, summon my dude, going to my Magius. So the first lot of back row countering we have is of course the Arboria. So my opponent had some sort of destruction back row here, I can protect my Crusadias from being popped. Alright, Spirit of Summoning, getting a search, adding back. Actually just completely negating my own sort of destruction protection there, big brain. Alright, summon out my Spatha, special summon. Spatha moving it over so I can special summon another card. Go into Equimax, and now I have a nice little negate for any of these back row cards. And also keep in mind, this card doesn't require the thing it's pointing to be face up. So if any of these were Book of Moon, he can't target the Equimax with it, and if he does target this with it, it won't stop you from being able to negate. Alright, so Book of Moons puts this thing face down. We don't care, we're not negating that. And then he activates Ice Dragon's Prison, which is probably the best trap card in the game right now. But there's something I want you to note with this deck list. It doesn't actually care about Ice Dragon's Prison. Well, it does for the Mekk-Knight side of things, but for the actual Crusadia stuff, it really doesn't care all that much, as you'll notice, this thing's a warrior. This thing's a dragon. This thing's a psychic. Your Link monster is a Cyverse. They're all different. So unless you have multiple copies in your graveyard, which, like I've already mentioned earlier during the deck list portion, you're trying to run lots of different names, so you don't really have that many you don't have that many of the same variants in the graveyard at the same time. Even the other Link monsters, I'm pretty sure one's a spellcaster, and where's the Blink 2? What are you? This one's a warrior, so this one actually does copy one of the other ones, but you'll notice they're all just different. This means that my opponent activates Ice Dragon's Prison, it can't actually banish anything. So if this thing does go off, which he would Dolce Knights to negate my negate, you notice he doesn't actually banish anything, because he can't. So sort of an important thing to note with this deck list, it's actually very, very good into that particular trap card, which is a very popular trap card, to be fair. Yeah, we just have late game build. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, remember, Duel Avatar video tomorrow, so if you want to see that, remember to subscribe so you don't miss it. And without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.